Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, so excited this morning to have with me the director of a fantastic new anti-rom-com, I'm Not in Love. Everybody, welcome Cole Spector. How you doing,
Thank
Cole?
you. Hi. Hi. Great to be here.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. We're really excited to talk about this. This movie, as I described it, is an anti-rom-com. Could you talk about what exactly that means and what I mean by that?
Well, we just used that quote from the Guardian newspaper for the trailer. But I think what it is it does, hopefully, as you're watching it, you don't quite know what way it's going to go. And hopefully it's a very authentic story about a guy trying to work out his love life. I think the idea about rom-coms, often you can tell where it's going to end up. And hopefully with this, you can't.
I was just going to tell you that that's exactly what I think is. I'm somewhat of an expert in the romantic comedy myself, and one of the biggest flaws in that genre is the predictability. And so, for us as an audience to be able to experience this man's complete meltdown is awesome. It's excellent.
Oh,
I didn't
good.
know where it
Thank
was
you.
going to go.
Right.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your cast too. You've got a great cast here: Al Weaver and Christina Catalina, your main two actors in this project. But it really is an ensemble piece where every little tiny character makes a difference in each scene. Can you talk about how you went about putting that cast together?
Yeah, so I had Al in mind for about 3 years. He was in my previous feature film, Honeymooner. And originally I was trying to make this film about 10 years ago. So I was asking Al for advice for someone in the late 30s. And he said, I think I should play that. I said, no, you'd be perfect. You're too young at the moment. Anyway, it took 10 years to make. And by the time I'd made it, he was the right person. So a lot of it, me and Rada were kind of tweaking the script to fit Al. So we had our version of it, but then we kept kind of making it much more Al Weaver friendly, the guy who plays the lead role. And with Christina, I knew I wanted someone who was Eastern European. I didn't want someone put on an Eastern European accent. And the casting director suggested a few people that she knew, and she said Christina is the perfect person. And when Christina Catalina came in to read for the female lead, character called Marta, I was in tears. I was doing the final scene with her, and it was just so beautiful. She was amazing. She just kind of hit it out of the park. And I love her kind of softness against Al's. Well, Al's got a softness, but there's a slightly kind of cheeky, restful kind of side to Al. So she was, yeah, I thought they worked so well together. He was like the wavy line, she was a straight line.
Like that, if this were a comedy routine or a typical romantic comedy, she would definitely be the straight man, and she pulled it off incredibly well. That closing scene you're talking about is probably one of the best scenes in the movie. I won't
Oh,
say anything about it because it spoils, but I just think that I thought it was such a good juxtaposition to the rest of what we had seen from Al's character, that we truly got an actual arc out of him, and that's that's often the problem that we don't see in the genre. But it was nice to see here. Uh, so excellent job writing that and putting that together, because I know that anytime you make a movie, it's always difficult, but making something that's a little bit more hard to guess is even harder. You know.
yeah, thank you. The final scene is always the most important scene of the film because it's what people remember as they leave the cinema. I remember thinking this final scene is so easy to screw up and get wrong. And I had this feeling that it was a very tight schedule, but I want to schedule a second period of time in case I don't get it the first time. And we did that. We did the final scene. Boring if people haven't seen the film. This, but we filmed the final scene at the end of the day on a Friday after a long week's filming, and we squeezed it in. We filmed it outside a church, and the sun was setting, and there was noise, and I shot it in a very safe way. And I remember I wanted my editor to very quickly edit it because I just wasn't convinced it was going to work. And I watched it and I thought it's just terrible. It so doesn't work. It's appalling. And that made me realize I need to be very, very brave and very bold with it. Hence, that's how it came to be what it is. Having kind of done a version of it, it was really bad. And then I think I found the key to it. And Al and Christina are just amazing in that scene, I think. beautiful performance.
It really is. Two questions that come from that line of questioning. First one is, of course, why did it take 10 years?
It took 10 years because it just took a long time to try and find the right producer to raise the money. I had one person who was American based, and we were going to make it in New York. And he said, "When do you want to film it?" I said, "I want to do it in May." "Great, let's do it." And then he kind of disappeared. It reminds me of the Woody Allen line in Annie Hall talking about life in LA. And he said, "It's not so much dog eat dog, it's dog doesn't return other dogs' phone calls." And it just felt like that with that one producer. And then there was another producer, and it never happened. So each time that's like 2 years there. But all along, I'm kind of working on the script, improving the script, working with Rada, improving the script. So yeah, I mean, I don't know why. Every year you delay and something doesn't happen, the next year goes even faster.
I like that. You're right. It does seem to snowball on you, doesn't it? Those years. The second piece of questioning that comes from this is you mentioned how important the last scene is, and I think in the romantic comedy genre, it's even more important. If you think of some of the classics in the genre, one of the most important and the most memorable scenes are often the last ones. Jerry Maguire, you think of Casablanca, you think of When Harry Met Sally. All of the romantic comedies are make or break on that very last scene. So I think you nailed it. So let me ask you, what's your favorite last scene in one of these style movies? Have a
Let's
little fun
think.
with that.
I do think the end of Manhattan, Woody Allen's Manhattan, is amazing. It's incredible. It's extraordinary, amazing film. It's so truthful. Let me think. I'm just wondering, for me, When Harry Met Sally is very good. But I don't know if I feel so much emotion. Do I feel enough emotion? Oh, what other films? What other great endings? This is romantic comedies, yeah.
Yeah, mostly. Like for me, my picks obviously are Notting Hill and The Apartment.
Oh, The Apartment is an amazing ending. Amazing. Yeah, let's go with The Apartment. I'm liking that one.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
it's simply one of the
understated.
best. You know, it's simply one of the best. It's simple, it's to the point, and we've earned that moment. You know.
And let's go with Some Like It Hot as well, because Nobody's Perfect is
Nobody's
pretty
perfect.
lovely. Yeah. Okay,
It's
I'm
it's.
liking those. Yeah.
I mean, Billy Wilder, he just knew it. He just knew what he was doing. He's knew what he was doing in that genre.
Extraordinary film. I watched The Lost Weekend, which is not a romantic comedy, but Billy
Great
Wilder.
film though.
It's an amazing film. First time I've seen it, I saw it about 3 months ago. What an incredible film.
And for its time dealing with the addiction, it really just nails that darkness. You know, it has that darkness in the middle of the film when his character is just going insane and starts seeing things in the corner. That's a great movie. Great pick.
It's a
Yeah,
great movie. That holds the test of time, doesn't it? That film. It's
it does.
really, really good.
It really does hold up well, and I mean that's why it won Best Picture. You know, it's funny. I often mention that people don't understand how Best Picture isn't about what the best movie of the year was. It's about what best reflected the time in which it won.
Huh. Huh.
Because if you think about it, a lot of the movies don't hold. Some of the movies don't hold up because they were the best movie of that time. You know, not
Yeah.
and they don't transcend as often as they should. But back on topic here, I wanted to ask you a couple fun questions about yourself, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
Cole.
Not
First
all.
one, first one, and this is like one of the hardest questions I'm going to ask you is: who are some people you look to as inspirations, whether they're directors, actors, producers, writers?
I am recently. Let me think. There's a film which is on Netflix by a director and written by and directed by Rebecca Zlotowski called An Easy Girl, which is just a brilliant film. I love that film. Mia Hansen loves film. Um, what is it called, about a woman whose husband leaves? Things to Come. I think that's a wonderful film. I love Noah Baumbach. I think Greenberg is a masterpiece. I watched what's it called? Maevich stories. Again, first time I saw it, didn't love it. Second time I saw it, I loved it. I think Noah Baumbach, when he hits it, he's amazing. Squid in the Whale.
Squid in the Whale
Uh,
is good. Great pick. Yeah, no, it's good.
and then I love Kelly Reichardt's second film, another film about men, relationships. What's that? Old Joy. I think that is a little masterpiece. Other things I think are just incredible. I'm watching, it's not movies, TV is Easy. Joe Swanberg's Easy. Have you seen that series?
Anything with Joe Swanberg, I'm on board with. That guy is brilliant.
Certain ones of those are just incredible, absolutely incredible.
I
Mark
agree with you
Maron,
on that.
him, and the couple who are in an open relationship over the 3 seasons. When you see their story,
Yeah,
just absolutely
I love that.
wonderful.
Now, we've answered that question, but now it's time for the hardest question that I ask every single guest that I have.
Oh no
You
way!
can
What
only
is it?
watch you can only watch 2 movies for the rest of your life. What 2 are you taking and why?
Well, this needs a lot, a lot of consideration. What a nasty question. I might go with Manhattan as one because that's kind of inspired me so much. Um, what else could it? I wonder. I wonder if it's like 2001: Space Odyssey, because you could just keep watching that. No, it's not funny enough. I'm going to go with Greenberg, Noah Baumbach's Greenberg.
That's a great pick.
Too similar to Manhattan, arguably, but okay, that's what I'm going with this moment. It might
I
change.
lo- I love that. My 2 picks would be
Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and It
Right.
Happened One Night.
Okay.
2 sides of the same of a similar coin. Both are about relationships. Both are, one is sad, one is not. One started the genre, one redefined it. That's just how I would look at it myself.
Brilliant. Okay. Love it. Love it.
Plus, I get to look at Clark Gable's handsome face the whole time. Love that guy. Love that guy. And Kate Winslet is a queen, so of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've only seen it happen one night once, and I don't know if I completely got it. I think I'm gonna have to rewatch. I watched it the first time 5 years ago. I'm gonna have to
Which
rewatch it.
which one?
The one from the 1930s, is
Oh,
it?
It Happened One Night. Yeah, it's if you get into it, it's really good, and you can see where it sort of created all of the tropes that the romantic comedy tended to rely on in the worst ways, but also in the best ways. Do you know?
Yeah.
I love
I'm
that.
gonna rewatch that. I'm gonna rewatch that.
I recommend it. It's a Frank Capra film. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Frank Capra, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love him. Now, I wanted to give you a chance before we say adieu to tell people why they need to check out your film on Not Love.
Well, I personally think it's very, very honest about guys. I think that women will find interesting. I mean, it's written by me and a woman, so I think the women are kind of honest, but the men are very honest. And I think that you get an insight into how guys really are. There's no political correctness. There's no trying to make things nice and palatable. It's a very honest film about guys. But what you learn is what you see on the surface of guys isn't always the reality. And that there's often something surprising underneath that. So I think it's very, very honest. I think it's funny. I think it's beautiful. Some lovely performances. Very kind of understated at times. Very English, made English understatement. But I think it's an honest film. It's very, very truthful, and I think it's cute and funny.
I would agree with you that there's some truth to it. And what I love is it doesn't shy away from the fact that most of us guys are just very awkward inside and we don't really know how to deal with certain things. All of us do. And there's like another character in your movie that is the opposite end of that, where it's like he only knows how to handle it in one way, and that is the most destructive way that he can. And it's not even your lead character; it's one of the side characters. I won't mention because again, and I won't mention why because I want people to watch the movie. But it does deal with the destructive nature of being a man and how we
It
cope
does.
and deal with those destructive tendencies. So I want to thank you for making that happen because I think it's something that we men don't reflect on enough. And it's hard to watch that and be like, and say to yourself, I relate to that, because you don't want to relate to it, but you definitely do in reality relate to everything those characters are going through. And that's really hard to do. So I got to commend you for the work you put into that script and the work you put into making it feel authentic, because that's not easy to do at all.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this was, of course, my absolute new friend, Cole Spector. You guys can all follow him where if they want to.
Well, I'm not. I don't really use social media. There is some Twitter account somewhere. I better get up and running, haven't I?
Yeah, you got to promo the movie. I mean, we're gonna do it for you, but you got to go out, get out there and promo the movie.
But it's Gravitas Ventures. They're putting it out. They're putting it out digitally from Jan the 25th.
Yes, they are. Yeah, that's in 2 weeks from now. Gravitas Ventures. They always put out good stuff, Gravitas, and they're always so generous with us and letting us talk about a lot of their movies. And a lot of their movies are romantic comedies lately, and I'm about that. So because that's my thing.
Great.
Ironically, I don't know how that happened. I just sort of fell into that. It's always been my thing. I love Woody Allen. I love, early Bogdanovich, rest in peace, and that sort of thing. A lot of romantic.
Paper Moon.
Yeah,
What a
Paper
film.
Moon. Even
What a film.
he's just a romantic guy at heart. Even his last film that he did, which felt like a Woody Allen film. I forget what it was called. It's something like It Happened Like That or something like that. And it had Owen Wilson in it. And it was very much a Woody Allen made by Bogdanovich type movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've sort of become a connoisseur of these things at this point in my life. So, and I've got many more years to keep growing. But I really wanted to thank you, Cole, for joining me and talking about your film. It seems like it was a labor of love. It was a hard labor. And so, but the work is there, and it feels like something that was worked on hard. So thank you very much for making this movie and for letting us talk to you about it.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks so much, William. It's been a delight talking to you. And I'm going to check out the last Peter Bogdanovich film now.
Do it. It's great. Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, Col Spector. Have a great day, Cole.
Cheers. Thanks, William.